The Apollo program. The President of the United States of America, John F. Kennedy, had held a speech at the beginning of the 1960s saying that during the 60s or until 1970, an American person should be walking on the moon. And so the Apollo program was announced in 1961, and these were a lot of people, and they were working on things, and they built a rocket called the Saturn V, a big rocket with lots of fuel in it to fire up, and then in the top of the capsule, the Apollo capsule, for 3 people to sit in there. And then on the 21st July 1969, the first American person landed on the moon, and his name was Neil Armstrong. And that is according to the Reader's Digest Library of Modern Knowledge, Book 1, Part 1, Structure of the Universe, written by Ian Ridpath and John R. Shakespeare, on the page 48. If you click this video away, then please tell me what the reason for it was, so that I can improve. Otherwise, hi and welcome. I'm trying to learn space science today, aphelion, apogee, and the Apollo program. And after we've done it, we're gonna do body center training. And if you participate in the body center training, then it's at your own risk. And it are just dictionary entries. Apophelion, the point at which a body in orbit around the sun is furthest away from it. Okay, an object is orbiting around the sun, and the point when it is the furthest away from the sun is called the aphelion. Aphelion. There's helium in it. Helio is for the sun. So aphelion, with P, aphelion. And that is by the Earth, I think I know that. That is on the, I don't know exactly, I think it was the 4th, 5th, 2nd July, when the Earth is the furthest away from the sun. So it's orbiting. So the aphelion is the point when something which is orbiting the sun is furthest away from it. I'm going to start a second camera. I'm going to say it. The aphelion, that is the point at which a thing, a planet, which is orbiting the sun is the furthest away from it. So something, the Earth is orbiting the sun, and that point where the orbit is the furthest away from the sun, that is called the aphelion. That is according to the Reader's Digest Library of Modern Knowledge, Book 1, Part 1, Structure of the Universe, written by Ian Ridpath and John R. Shakespeare, on the page 48. And let's start it directly. Of course, let's look. The next thing. Apogee. Apogee. The point in a satellite's orbit at which it is the furthest from Earth. Now, what exactly is a satellite? We did a little part about it in space science in the previous part. Was it that it did not have a proper orbit, but we're saying it has an orbit, or whatever. It is the furthest away point of a satellite from Earth. It is the moon, so the moon. From Earth. Okay, apogee. If something is orbiting around Earth, a satellite, the place where it is the furthest away from Earth, that is called the apogee. Okay. I have a second camera already running. Apogee. If a satellite is orbiting around Earth, the point where that satellite is the furthest away from the sun on that orbit, that is called apogee. That is according to the Reader's Digest Library of Modern Knowledge, Book 1, Part 1, Structure of the Universe, written by Ian Ridpath and John R. Shakespeare, on the page 40. Let's have one little look here. When I'm opening that book, it's the first page, it's a bigger one. Right, because I'm missing always that page here, which I want to open. Taking it, and then I have one too much always. And I have to go one back. And the other thing is, take that here. Okay, that does fit. This time it did fit. The next thing, the Apollo program. The United States of America Space Program announced in 1961, designed to fulfill President Kennedy's goal of putting an American on the moon before 1970. Okay, there was the President of the United States of America, John F. Kennedy, and he had set the goal and the mission that within the decade, he held that speech in 1961 or something, that within 10 years someone would go onto the moon. And in 1961 it was announced this Apollo program with a goal to bring within the 60s an American person onto the moon. It produced the world's largest rocket, Saturn V, and the complex three-man Apollo capsule. Okay, this Apollo program, they were working together, and the thing which they built was not a car or something, they built a rocket, so that is what we're saying here. And they had built a very big rocket, a very big one. If one considered what rockets were used previously, before in the 40s and 50s, it's very much smaller. So a very big rocket with the name Saturn V, and also then at the top, a little room, a little capsule, and the capsule was called the Apollo capsule, the whole program Apollo. And into that capsule there it was designed for 3 people. The first man to set a foot on the moon was Neil Armstrong on July 21, 1969. And Neil Armstrong, it's not written here, but he was a US American, and so the fact before the 1970s have reached, that goal was fulfilled, as we write here. In all, 12 Americans landed on the moon during the Apollo program, which was completed in December 72. So in December 72 the Apollo program was ended, and during that time in total 12 people landed on the moon. Okay, do I know all these information? The Apollo program. In 1961, what exactly happened there? The President of the United States of America, John F. Kennedy, announced the Apollo program. It was announced to fulfill President Kennedy's goal of putting... I don't know who said what exactly, so I can't really say that. Then I'm going to use a bit of background. The President of the United States of America, John F. Kennedy, had held a speech, and he had said that it was the goal to bring, until 1970, an American person onto the moon. And so in 1961, the Apollo program was announced. And they built things, and they built a rocket called the Saturn V, and at the top they put basically completely full of fuel, and then at the top they had a capsule for 3 people to sit in there. And when they flew there, and then on the 21st July 1969, the first person with Neil Armstrong landed on the moon. Okay, I'm going to stop the second camera and show you something. The Apollo program. The President of the United States of America, John F. Kennedy, had held a speech at the beginning of the 1960s saying that during the 60s or until 1970, an American person should be walking on the moon. And so the Apollo program was announced in 1961, and these were a lot of people, and they were working on things, and they built a rocket called the Saturn V. A big rocket with lots of fuel in it to fire up, and then in the top of the capsule, the Apollo capsule, for 3 people to sit in there. And then on the 21st July 1969, the first American person landed on the moon, and his name was Neil Armstrong. And that is according to the Reader's Digest Library of Modern Knowledge, Book 1, Part 1, Structure of the Universe, written by Ian Ridpath and John R. Shakespeare on the page 14. Where's the camera? And that was the space science part. If you were here for space science, you can go directly to the next part of space science. If you stay here and participate in the body center training, then it's very obvious. We're going one leg up. And now we are on. Take the leg at the ankle, make a straight back, and point with the knee down to the ground. the other leg. And one leg to the side. The torso pointing in front and the stitching the inner side of the leg. And to the other side. Torso pointing in front, stitching the side of the leg. And now go from side to side the mantis. And into the middle. One leg up, into a right angle with a flexed foot. Have even aligned hips, taller with the back, and press from the top against the knee with a little bend in the elbow. And press from side. And press up and then to the side with the knee. Up and to the side. And now press from the outside. And out slowly. And close again. And on the other side, press from the top. On the side. Press up and to the side. And press on the outside. And out slowly. And close again. Now 3 exercises on the ground. First on the elbow of the side leg. And then if you can and like, one leg up. And now on the long arm. One arm out, leg up, pull the knee to the elbow. And over to the other side. First on the elbow. And one leg up. Now on the long arm. One arm out, leg up and pull the knee to the elbow. And back into the middle. And the garden gnome, heel onto the ground, pull the toes in and move the leg from side to side. Other side. And again one leg up. The other one. Take one leg at the ankle. The other one. Legs wide apart, breathe in and down. And breathe out. Another round. And out. And breathe in and close the legs. And breathe in and out. That was body center training. Thank you very much and until next time.